impressed by Charlie's claim of authority, and by the time he had used up almost all their entire remaining firewood to coax it into a cheerful blaze, the sun was nudging itself over the horizon and just beginning to paint London bright as a spring day, despite the snow on the ground. It was a trick, of course. It was always colder than it looked outside these days. "Jumpin' Jehoshaphat, it's cold down here," Mum said around the several hairpins held in her teeth. As she raced down the stairs, she yanked out curlers with one hand and fussed with her shirt collar with the other. "Dad, I cannot be late again." She caught sight of Charlie closing up the wood stove and sighed. "Ah, one of those days, is it?" Charlie nodded bleakly and rubbed at his gritty eyes. Mum squinted at him and changed course from the teacup cupboard to Charlie, sticking the pins in her hair with mathematical precision. "Bad dreams again?" Charlie nodded once more, not looking at her. It felt like letting her down somehow, to still be scared of things long since over, to give her one more thing to worry about. "Anything I can do?" she asked. A look of worry, fast as a blink, came over Mum's face, carving a line between her eyebrows that hadn't been there even a few months before. Charlie was almost sure of it. "It's fine, Mum. It's nothing." He worked his voice into something resembling cheerful, even if it was still croaky with sleep. "Was it about your brother?" "It's fine." Mum looked as if she wanted to say more. "11 is too young to be such an old man, Charles," was a favourite of hers, but she swallowed down the words and ran her hand over his staticky hair. Her eyes caught something behind his head and went huge. "Is that the time?" That flash of worry again, that line between her eyebrows. "I'm going to miss that infernal bus." Whatever else she was going to say was muffled by the toast she jammed into her mouth as she flew about looking for her coat and hat, which were hanging on the same peg by the door that they always were every day since forever. "Have to run. Love you, darling," she called over her shoulder as she threw open the door and dashed out. "Watch out for the ice," Charlie called after her. Visions of Mum's heels flying out from under her and sending her sprawling in the street rushed up at him, the sirens still echoing in his ears. But Mum was already around the corner and out of sight, sure-footed and unafraid. Charlie squeezed his eyes shut until they hurt a bit, then stood up straight and walked upstairs to Grandpa Fitz's room. Grandpa Fitz was sitting up in bed in his striped pyjamas, looking at the low-lying sun through his gauzy window curtains. His left sleeve had come unpinned in the night, and he was rubbing the cuff back and forth between his fingers without looking at it. It was like this sometimes. Grandpa Fitz would go away for a few minutes or hours or even a day, and in the place where he went, he still had his left arm, and sometimes Charlie's dad was alive, or Grandma Lily, or Grandpa Fitz's first dog, Duck. It still made Charlie cry sometimes, that Grandpa Fitz was able to forget that he'd lost so very many people. And maybe Charlie was a little jealous, too. One day, maybe, Charlie would be old enough to go away like that for a little while and visit Dad, just for an hour or two. That would be nice. "If you're that old, Grandpa Fitz will be gone too. So will Mum, so will—" Charlie slammed the door on the thought before it could finish. He would not think about it. He rolled up Grandpa Fitz's loose sleeve and pinned it in place. When he was back to himself, Grandpa Fitz always hated having his sleeves flop about like a sailor on leave up to no good and dragging through the jam. Then he blew on the cup of tea he'd brought to make sure it was cool enough before holding it up to his grandfather's lips. Grandpa Fitz's whiskers glinted in the sunlight, but there was no help for that right now. Charlie did not have sufficient skill to shave Grandpa Fitz's chin for him. Theo hadn't either, but he would always make a great production of pretending to be a barber and putting a hot towel on Grandpa Fitz's face and putting on and wiping off the thick shaving cream, so they at least felt that they had done something. He pulled Grandpa Fitz's housecoat on over his right arm and his broad shoulders, still strong as stone even if they were getting slightly stooped. Charlie got embarrassed when he had to dress Grandpa Fitz, even though Theo had never so much as batted an eyelash at helping their grandfather into his trousers and shirt if need be. But Theo was also much taller and stronger than Charlie. He could help in ways Charlie just couldn't. But still, when Theo left to fight in the war a year and a half ago, Charlie had promised that he would look after the family while he was gone, that he wouldn't let Theo down, and he had kept that promise. Charlie had even convinced his mother to let him leave school for a while.